Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second Let's Play of Long Live the Queen. I want to apologize that the second one is taking place so long after the first. I had planned to do two or three in quick succession, and then life interfered. Um, and I also realized that leading off, doing my first Let's Play with like the bestest, happiest ending ever was maybe not the best idea because now I'm afraid that everything afterwards will be disappointment and not nearly as good. But today we will attempt to summon Cthulhu. So I'm excited about that. And I say attempt because I actually do have a save game where we summon Cthulhu, and so I know I can do it. But instead of following that script to the letter, which is what we did in the first Let's Play. You'll remember I followed my old save game exactly, even when it meant training skills that it turns out I didn't use or didn't need. Instead of doing that, I'd like to be a little bit more optimal today, which does mean that we may make mistakes. For instance, it is now noon in my time, and I started these videos at 9:30. So I have like 3 hours ish of bloopers and me going, oh wait, that's not right. Oh wait, that's not right. And I thought, that's probably not very interesting. So starting over on that. Couple of technical notes. I have managed to turn down the music on the game relative to my voice, so the music and my voice hopefully won't be fighting quite so much. Speaking of my voice, it may be a little bit deeper this morning and a little bit sniffier because it is January and it's cold and my allergies are playing up. So hopefully I won't sneeze in your ear. In terms of loudness, obviously I wouldn't sneeze in your ear physically because that would be unsanitary. I still don't have a reliable way to transcript these videos out. I'm very sorry about that. But it hasn't really been feasible for me to try to go behind and type up 3 hours worth of talking. And I don't have a programmatic way to do that. So I really am sorry about that. Let me see, what else? I will try not to spend quite so much time introducing people and introducing game mechanics under the assumption that you're already familiar with the game mechanics, you're already familiar with the people to a certain extent, and hopefully this one won't end up being 3 hours long like the other one was. Sorry about that. So, we're going to go ahead and start the game. This is your dad. I want to thank the commenter on YouTube who informed me that this question mark here is for getting like a biography on people. So as we see new people, I will try to toss that up. And of course, it won't give you my helpful commentary like your dad is useless, so I'll try to keep that in there, but it should keep the pace going a little bit faster. So this is your dad. He is useless. This is you. Do we have a biography? We do. Look at that. And my mother's deceased. By the way, your mother's deceased. And you're sad about that, as naturally you would be. It is sad. You're queen now, and you have to try to survive for a year and not screw things up too badly. So I'm going to say we play this before, don't take us through the mechanics. These are our skills. We have no skills, but these are our skills. And you'll remember last time we built up this red social box quite a bit. And so that at the end duel, when the minstrel king warmonger guy burst in and tried to, challenge you to a duel, instead of you fighting him with pointy things or you fighting him with magic, you took kind of a third option and used your voice and your wonderful public speaking to basically kind of reality check the guy and go, what are you doing? This is a terrible decision. Go home, enjoy the many things that you have, and spend time with your children and quit invading my country. And he did, and I think we can all agree that that's a good thing. But we're not going to do that this time. This time, instead of building up our social skills to a certain extent, instead of building up our social skills to kind of win friends and influence people, we're going to focus on this purple mystical box, which is the faith, the lumen, the magic aspects. This is going to be a little bit harder because we can't start out learning magic right away. Magic is a story thing that we have to unlock. And one of the ways we have to unlock it, we need to unlock it as quickly as possible. One of the ways we have to unlock it is we have to have presence. Or alternately, we can unlock it with accounting. But I don't want to do that because accounting doesn't help me in my playthrough after unlocking magic, whereas presence does. So, and presence starts with this -1 effect because royal demeanor is like, this is why I've had to start over this video a couple times. Royal demeanor is like the hardest thing possible to not have a negative effect at. Royal demeanor doesn't like you to be afraid, which we are right now. Royal demeanor doesn't like you to be angry, which is the best way to bring down afraidedness. So it wants this to be right here in the middle. Royal anger doesn't like you, or royal demeanor doesn't like you to be depressed, which we clearly are right now. It doesn't really care if we're cheerful or not. It doesn't want us to be lonely, which is unfortunate because one of the best ways to bring up cheerful is to bring down lonely. And it doesn't want us to be, or it doesn't care if we're pressured. So the only way to boost royal demeanor is to bring down yielding, and it doesn't like willful. So basically we need to get all of our mood in the zeroed out range, but yielding down as low as possible. And cheerful and pressured can be up, but they don't actually help if they're up. So royal demeanor is a pain in the butt, especially starting off because we're so afraid and so depressed. So that's kind of why I've been struggling with that, because we need to get presence up quickly in order to get our magic. In the interim, we'll be working on faith. So, are we all up to speed now? We're going to work on meditation because real early on, there's a check for meditation that I want to pass, and it's a high check. It's like 80. So, and I don't know if you remember, but we can't get any individual skill past 50 until we've gotten the other skills in its sister skills, basically up to 25 or more, which was the other reason why I didn't want to go with accounting as a way to get our magic, because accounting needs to be like 60. So it's not even like 6 classes of accounting, it's like 5 classes of accounting and then 2 to 3 in trade and production each, and then you can get accounting up to 60. So we're gonna go with presence. So classes, meditation. Go. And you'd think this would affect our mood, but it doesn't. None of the training affects our mood. So, what's all this noise? It's our cousins, aunts, and uncle, and and Charlotte, who has the piercing, huge Fabergé egg, red ruby eyes that stare at us from no matter where we are in the room. But she's a good girl. She's nice. And she made us cheerful, which is something that we very much needed. We are now going to, let me think here for a second. We don't really want to bring up lonely because lonely hurts us, but yielding helps us, and cheerful in this case would help us. If we visit Lottie, we'll get a cheerful, and if we wait and hold off, we'll visit Lottie and we'll get a lonely in addition to the cheerful, which we don't want. I think it's a lonely. No, I think it's a negative lonely, so that's okay. That'll work out. What we're going to do is we're going to play with our toys for the first week. That'll give us yielding, which we need. It'll give us cheerful, which we need. It'll give us a lonely, which hurts us, but I think we'll get rid of the lonely in the next week. So, yes, yielding, lonely, cheerful, played with toys. This is our afraid face. We're afraid. And that will help us in the interim because for right now it's giving us a boost to faith, which is not a bad thing to have a boost to. So what we're going to do is we're going to study lore. And we studied lore, and we're getting this afraid bonus, which is good. And lore is now over 25. And we learned that the kings and queen of Nova have all been Lumens. But in modern time, magic is used only for ceremonial occasions and in the direst of emergencies. What's that commotion outside? This is our aunt, the Duchess of Ursul. She's also going to be our magic tutor. And, oops, I meant to get her bio. That's Dad. We don't care about Dad. Dad is useless. There's us. There's her bio. And your dad just said it was because of her that Mom is dead. And that she's a traitor. And that if she's left here, she'll corrupt Elodie. I don't want to send her away because she's our magic tutor. We need her. I can't let her stay yet, though, because, and this is out of character knowledge, if I let her stay, then she's going to interfere in an event that we need to happen. So, out of character knowledge, I'm going to arrest her, and the only way I can justify that in character is that Elodie is very moved by her father's words that she's a traitor and the reason that your mom is dead. So, we threw her in the dungeon, and we got an angry point, which is good because we needed that to bring up our afraid, because afraid hurts us for royal presence. So here's our moods right now. Depressed is bad, afraid is bad, lonely is bad, yielding is good for what we're going to need it for. So we're going to visit Charlotte, and we play with Charlotte, and she's going to give us, okay, good, 1 cheerful and -1 lonely. So that's good, that's good. How are we doing on mood? We're afraid, we're depressed, we're yielding, we're zeroed out on lonely, pressured. So we're going to go to skills, and we're going to continue training faith because we can't train royal demeanor yet. And, well, we could, but we'd be taking a hit. And so we're going to train divination. So divination, and we're getting an afraid bonus, although I don't think it's as high as previously. I'd need to check. Oh, maybe it is. We got up to 35 in 2 classes, so that's pretty good. Charlotte's playing in the garden. And this was the event that he didn't want the Countess of Ursul to interfere with. If you remember from the previous playthrough, if she's walking around outside the dungeon, she comes running out here with a sword and smokes the snake. And she can't do that because she's in the dungeon right now. So say, reflexes failed. You grab a stick to push the snake away, but you lack the skills to do the job properly, and poking the snake only makes it angry, and it bites you. And, ow, that's a good ow face. So, those snakes are poisonous. They're also not native to the region, if you remember from the previous playthrough. The Countess of Ursul tells us that. So this is clearly an assassination attempt. And you would think we're going to die because this game is littered with death scenes. But Charlotte puts her hands over the bite and takes the pain away and heals up the wound. So she just saved you magically, but she doesn't know how she can do it. She just can. And she's not supposed to tell anybody. So we say, okay, we won't tell everybody. And her mom comes out and says, what's going on? And we say, oh, there's nothing. We saw a snake, but it's gone. And her mom freaks out. A snake! We're leaving! And I've played through this game a few times. No matter how you get past this scene, somebody tells Lucille, Countess of Nyx, that there was a snake, and she goes, oh my gosh, a snake, we're leaving. I mean, even if we don't say it's poisonous or rare or a milk viper, I think that she's the one who brought the snake. But I could be wrong. So anyway, she reacts very strongly to the knowledge that there was a snake and says, we're going to leave. Oh, okay. So they're gone. So let me think here. We need to get afraid is gone. We've gotten more afraid again, I think, because of the snake, and that's a problem. We need to get less depressed. Yielding is fine, and we need to not be lonely. We need to keep lonely and pressured the way it is. We could go visit the Countess and get her out of prison. I can't remember if that... You know what? We're going to save. Save game. Anna. Oh, do I need to rename it? Okay. I don't remember if getting her out of prison affects your mood or not. Attending the service would pull off an afraid. I think I've mentioned in the previous one that the castle services try to keep you evened out to 0 across everything. And it tackles whatever you have the most of. So right now we're most afraid. So it would bring that down 1. Which probably is our only option for getting angry right now, because none of these give anger points. Or minus afraid points. So this is probably the best thing to do. Cheerful. Attending court would give us yielding, but would make us depressed, which is bad for what we need right now. Playing with toys would make us yielding and cheerful, which would be good, but it would hurt us on lonely. So what we could do is we could pull off the afraid in 1 week. We could bring up our cheerful and lonely the next week. And then we'd still need to take a couple weeks to get rid of our anger and lonely. That I hate, like I said, royal composure or whatever it's called. Royal demeanor is such a pain in the rear early in the game. And unfortunately, that's when we need it. Let's go ahead and attend the... Well, yeah, let's go ahead and attend service. That's what we'll do. Minus the 1 afraid. So, yeah, royal demeanor is still -1 because we've got 1 afraid and 1 depressed, and we need to have neither of those. So, back to skills. We still need to be building up meditation, so we're going to do that now, which fortunately we're getting a bonus on that, so at least we're not wasting time, so to speak. So, bring up our meditation, and we still have a fear bonus. Unlocked a new outfit, which is nice. And meditation is almost at 60. The castle seems quieter. It's certainly not empty. Let's see here. I feel like we missed a scene that I wanted to get. So, let's back up. I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize right now. Let's back up and load. This is back when we were deciding just this last week whether to take off our fear or not. What I'm going to do is go release the Countess. The Duchess of Ursula is in her cell. And she's there apparently willingly. She has enough magic power to escape the dungeon. I know that in one of the playthroughs, if you can't get to the crystal in the treasury any other way, she will blow the treasury wall open. Which we could do, but I'd rather not vandalize my nice pretty castle. And so it's pretty clear to me that she's here by choice to let you decide what to do with her, which I think is nice. I respect that. And she says, caution is wise for your position, and hasty judgments can lead to trouble. And are you ready to listen? So I said, okay, I'll hear you out. What do you want to say? And she says, well, the king or queen of Nova has magic. It's necessary to protect the realm. That's what your mother did. It's what I do. Well, my father said it was your fault. She died. Well, no, she died by magic, and your father blamed her because your father really is useless. So that's not cool. She says, being a Lumen is never safe, and we pay a high price for our powers. We have enough lore to actually say we actually did study that, and she's right. She's not lying. So that's nice. So he said, okay, we'll free her. And that gave us pressured, which we don't actually care. Pressure doesn't affect, and it'll actually give us a little bit of safety on lonely, so that's fine. So she said, okay, she's released you. Come to me to my rooms so you can begin your training. So we're back where we were. Only, previously we went to the chapel and said, oh, the castle's very quiet. We're still afraid. We're still depressed. Both of these are going to hurt us if we want to do royal demeanor. We do have yielding, which is good, and we have a little bit of wiggle room on loneliness. We need to be building up meditation because I mentioned that there was an early meditation check that we want to pass. Kind of early. I think it's like week 8. So we're going to keep building that up. So, and we still have an afraid bonus, which is kind of helpful. And we unlocked a new outfit because we hit 25 in all 3 faith skills. Okay. She actually did say the castle is quiet. We're going to go ahead and save again. And call it Anna 2. Return. And we need cheerful. We need yielding. This playing with toys would give us 1 yielding, which we need. It would give us a cheerful, which would get us to zeroed out on this, which we need. It would give us a lonely, which we don't need, but we have a little bit of buffer. So the alternative is to go ahead and go talk to the Duchess about our crystal issues. And it doesn't give us a way to show us our skills. I think we need to do at least 1 more week on meditation. So I'm going to go ahead and go talk to her first. What is it you wanted to teach me? I need to know if you have your mother's crystal. And if you've seen the previous video, you've seen all this. Lumens have crystals. They're passed down through generations, which I'm not really sure how that works in terms of, if you have a generational flux of more children or fewer children, but nevertheless. Let's put on our new outfit. We have a priestess robe that boosts faith. And there it is. And I like that robe. I think that's cute. And I don't think we saw this outfit in the previous playthrough, and I did want to note, because I appreciate this, it's not, for lack of a better word, revealing. And I think none of the outfits are, and I appreciate that they're actually like clothes that I feel are in character for Elodie to wear, and I appreciate that the developers did it that way, because I know in visual novel games it's perfectly normalized for the clothes to be very revealing or sexy. So I appreciate that. I like this outfit that looks like something a priestess would wear to me. So I like that. Our mood, kind of where we were before visiting, our teacher didn't actually, there was no mood change, but that's okay. We do need a couple more meditations because we need to get to 80, and we've got a 2x modifier. So I think that means instead of getting 10 points, we would get 20 when we train. So we're at 70 now. If we took 2 classes, we'd max. And I don't think we need to max on meditation, so... Oh, do we want to up lore? Do we want to up divination? I think we probably want to up divination. I'm going to go ahead and save again. I think I mentioned we're kind of stumbling through this one because I don't have a script to follow per se. So let's say we'll get meditation and we'll get divination. And done. Oh, sure enough, increased by 22. So, oh, well, we could have done 2, and I guess the 70 it was showing us was the 70 with the outfit. So without the outfit, we started at, I guess, 61. So I could have done another one, and we would have been fine. But as long as I wear the outfit, I think we're almost maxed. We'll see. We'll see. One of the maids approaches you for your attention. My lady, couriers have arrived from the Duke of Sedna. And because we have no foreign intelligence whatsoever, Elodie says, we have a Duke of Sedna? And Alice, who is the maid, she is a commoner. I won't, get into the politics of European countries and how frequently ladies in waiting and ladies' maids were some form of nobility, but not always. But in this game, Alice is a commoner, and she says, "No, my lady, the Duchy of Sedna is in Tolaise." And I like this because Alice is a commoner. It would be very easy for the game to suggest that she has no knowledge of the country or the country's affairs or a foreign country, and it didn't do that. She knows more about she knows more about our country and nearby countries than Elodie does. And I think that makes perfect sense. Elodie is what, I think 15 years old. Alice is, does Alice have a bio? Alice is 18. Alice looks a little bit older than 18 to me, but anime. And the game doesn't play her off as stupid or ignorant or, you know, anything like that just because she's a commoner. I think it's funny that and that she's disconcerted and realistic. I think it's funny and realistic that she's a little disconcerted that the queen of the country doesn't know that the Duchy of Sedna is in Tolaise, but she's still willing to educate us. I think it's a sweet touch. I like it. So, Alice corrects us. They have brought a letter and a gift. And we didn't train court manners, so what's going to happen is Elodie says, "Oh, what a pretty shiny necklace. Something sparkly will make me feel better." So we just put on a necklace that came from a man who has a dukedom in another kingdom. So that will come back to bite us, but the skills fall where they may. And at least it made us more cheerful. So really all we need to get rid of is this horrible angry afraidness. So we are going to attend service to bring down our afraid. Yay. Our mood is, we're still afraid by 1, which that's just enough to continue to frustrate our royal demeanor. But we at least we have a plan to get rid of that. I'm gonna go ahead and save again because, like I said, we may need to save scum a little bit depending on how things shake out. Gosh, I really feel like we should pick up that divination lore since we've got nearly a ×3 modifier on them right now, and that'll probably never happen again. So let's go ahead and pick up. Do I want to get 2 lores or a lore and a divination? Let's get a lore and a divination. Grab those. Boy, that afraid bonus, 25. There must be something else helping on that. Let me check over. I've got the Wikipedia open on the other side. So faith is affected by afraid, which we have 1 of. Yielding, which we, I think, have 1 of. And pressured, which we have 1 of. So, okay, so that's why we have nearly a ×3 modifier on faith stuff. Okay. Aha! As you're walking, you spot a familiar figure in the palace gardens. It's the Duchess of Ursula. Maybe I should go and say hello. Then you notice that seated behind her is a woman in the robes of a priestess. They are very close together, their hands gently touching as they speak. And I seriously love this because the local priestess and your aunt are lesbian lovers. And I think that's so sweet. I love that that was included. I think it will be included slightly more explicitly than this. I certainly hope so. I think the reason I know is because of their wiki bios. But still, I'm glad that a healthy, happy lesbian relationship was included in this game. And so Elodie says, "Looks like she's busy," with just the most adorable face, which I don't know if that means Elodie knows or not, but it seems like she does know that this is a romantic relationship and she's okay with that, which I am also happy about. So, you turn and walk in a different direction. You notice something unusual. It looks like someone just left the palace grounds by going over the hedge. Was it a servant, a thief, or an assassin? So you can climb, but we have no climbing skills. You can run and hide, But I know, because I've done this, I know it'll make us afraid, and we don't want that. Or we can call the guards, which I think will give us an angry, which we do want. So, guards, angry! By the time the response is organized, there's no sign of the intruder, which our guards are so useless, but it's okay. Ooh, look! We are zeroed out on angry and depression, and that's such a good thing. And what we would like to do, let me save, because I just want to be sure. The best thing we could do for presence, which we need to get quickly, is to up our yielding. If we go to court, we'll up our yielding, but we'll also get a depression, which we don't want. And if we play with toys, we'll up our yielding, and we'll get a cheerful and a lonely. So what we're going to do is we're going to play with toys this week, and then we'll attend court next week is, I think, the best way to do it. This will give us a yielding. One more of these. It'll give us a cheerful, which doesn't actually affect us one way or another on royal demeanor, but it will buffer us from depressed if we go to court next week. And it'll give us a lonely, which we have a buffer on that with pressured. So, playing with toys. Yielding, lonely, cheerful. And our mood is yielding. Yes. Good. And now, finally, royal demeanor is a +1 instead of a -1. We would have taken 0, but nevertheless. Classes. Royal demeanor. Royal demeanor. Let me think here. We specifically need presence, but presence won't really work until we've upped composure and elegance. Let's go ahead and take 2 composure classes. That'll get us to 30. Good. Maid barrels into us. Oh, my lady, I'm so sorry. Apologize. That hurt our depression. Wonder if elegance would have done it. Hold on. Save scum, save scum. Back up. Yes. Mood. This was before the toys. Toys. Skills. Let's do elegance instead of composure. Would that have gotten us out of that? Because I don't really want a depression point. Haha! Save scumming works! Elegance. We gracefully said we needed elegance anyway. So we just completely avoided having our mood messed with. Realistically, we need to continue to get yielding better. So we're going to go to court like we planned. Yielding, depressed, pressured. Skills, or no, mood. Flat across, except pressured, which doesn't hurt us. And yielding is mega. Alright. So what we need is we need to now save the game. And we will up composure. There's a man here to see you. This is the Gutenberg printing press guy. And we had no production and no trade, so we didn't even have the chance to say, yeah, we'll fund you. Elodie was like, oh, no, that sounds like a terrible idea. We don't want that. Thank you, Elodie. Does anyone remember if we talked to the Duchess of Ursul yet? I seriously don't. We must have, right? Because she told us we needed to get our crystal. Y'all can't tell me. And I can't back up the video. I think we did. So now we need to go see our dad. That's going to make us willful, but we have enough to work with. Dad, what happened to Mom's Lumens crystal? Can I have it? No. Oh, your dad. Don't even get me started. Okay. Skills. Interestingly enough, even though we actually have less of a yielding bonus than before, we have a bigger royal demeanor bonus. I have a sneaking suspicion, which I haven't bothered to confirm, that training in skills puts you in kind of the zone and you get a little bit of a bonus just for training in them. But I can't prove it, and I'm not going to try. So royal demeanor, presence. This is what we've been wanting. So, ooh, 20 almost. 30. Unlocked a new outfit. Banyan shows up. There he is. Let's see. He says he's very, very sorry about our mother, but he needs our help, of course. And we have done absolutely no training in actual queenly stuff because we've been busy. We've been busy basically pursuing a life of nunnery. So he says, I don't know anything about this. I don't know how to fight. There must be a peaceful way to settle this. I'll send for the diplomats from Ixion. He says, thank you. Gives us a +1 to yielding. Your Highness, if I may ask, that necklace you're wearing, where did it come from? It was a gift from the Duke of Sedna. He says, then have you made arrangements with him? And I say, what? And he says, Your Highness, that is a courting gift. The man wishes to gain your hand in marriage. And we say, oops, I didn't realize that. Yeah, sorry. We're kind of semi-engaged now. But, and again, I think this is one of the either really frustrating or fun things about the game, depending on how you like to play things. You can't have it all. If we had spent time, we needed like 20 in court manners or 10, 20 in court manners to understand that we shouldn't wear that necklace. But if we'd done that, then we wouldn't have our meditation, which we need. We wouldn't have our presence, which we need. Right now we have to go report back to our magic teacher and say we don't know where the crystal is. There's not time to wait. You need the Lumen. It's just probably in the royal treasury. I'll try to find a way in. Willful, which I don't think we wanted, but it is what it is. Actually, it worked out because Banyan made us yielding, but then that made us willful, so it just sort of canceled each other out. What happens if we put on our coronet and take off our priestess robe? Okay, we still have 80 in meditation, which is, I believe, what we need. I'm going to go ahead and save. You'll notice this game wants you to save, scum. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 saves on a page, and there are 13 pages of of save slots. So the game developers understood that you would need to save a lot for this game. So we've boosted our royal demeanor by putting on the coronet, and we need our presence brought up some more. So we're going to continue to train in presence, and let me see, we've got a 2 modifier. That should be fine. So classes, go. We're up to 57. We should be up to 77. I think this will be enough for us. The representative from Ixion is here. Be careful, no one wants to give up prizes that they have won. You have the full support of my sister and yourself, Your Highness. This is what full support looks like. I don't know if you remember, Bryn is the woman that we ended up, Bryn and Banyan are the people, the brother and sister that we ended up having a long-term polyamorous relationship with. Bryn is a lesbian, and Banyan is a manipulative jerk, but a manipulative jerk who manipulates in the right direction in terms of how we wanted to take the country last time, the direction we wanted to rule. So, diplomat comes by. Thank you for granting me this audience. We will forget about your unprovoked attacks on us, and you will transfer the rights to this little province. He's actually not lying. Bryn did unprovokedly attack, so he's not wrong. We can be good neighbors again. We have no idea what's going on. The only reason we know is because we played the game before. But we've got a great presence skill, and I think that's enough to pull through. So we're gonna bluff. So Elodie says, you are trespassing on our lands. You should withdraw at once. Only then will we have peace. And we don't have any court manners. But we can threaten to attack. My soldiers are poised to destroy you. And he says, okay. So our presence Save the day, yay! So what we did was we just got Ixion to withdraw their troops from Bryn and Banyan's territories without having to punish Bryn or force her to marry anybody. So, you know, morally, we didn't force someone to get married to a marriage they didn't want. That's good. We did, you know, we were rude, but we were rude in a you know, diplomatic presency way. So it's okay, fine, we'll leave. Yay! And Elodie is happy. So that worked out pretty well, I feel. And we did have troops. We could have gone to war. In fact, if you had trained in war, we could have done that. We, as I recall, we win, but it's not an overwhelming victory, so that probably leaves your army weaker than before. But I honestly don't remember. So threatened to attack, and we got everything back. So now we have, I think, enough presence to bluff our way through the treasury. So we're gonna try to do that. You order the guards to stand aside and walk forward, your head held high. They don't deny you access to your own treasury. You've got your crystal! Yay! So, in just a little while, we'll be able to train for magic. Unfortunately, our magic is in a -3 because one of the things that magic hates is being yielding. In fact, even a single yielding, I think, gets you like -3 to Lumen skills. And being willful, which is the opposite, gets you a +1. So we need to bring that up, and we need to bring it up fast. So skills. Right now we're doing classes. We could bring up our composure or our elegance or our presence. What's going to help us? Let me think for a second. We also need to get voice back up, and it wouldn't hurt to get more lore. Yeah, I think we're gonna study lore. I think that's the best thing, is to switch back over to faith. So let's go ahead and do that. Classes, faith, lore. And I don't know if it matters, but let's toss the priestess robe back on. I don't know if that actually helps the training or not. We'll go ahead and do class. Okay, done. Go. And I think this may max out lore, which I'm totally okay with. Okay. And note this, it is now believed that strong magical power attracts danger. Not foreshadowing. Nope, nothing to see here. Move along. Oh, there are reports that a Keithong has been sighted. The Old Forest, that's the area by Cathri Lake, where the capital was until it was destroyed by monsters. That's the first time I passed that lore check. What's a Keithong? Eek! What do we do? Do we send hunters? And Dad says the traditional policy is like the ostrich policy, where we just shove our head in the sand. Oops, that depressed us. Thanks, Dad. And there's a letter saying that Talarist, the Duke of Sedna, will be arriving next week for an official visit. And also, we are technically semi-engaged to him. So, break out the tambourines for that, I guess. We need to be willful, but what we most need to do is activate our crystals. So we'll go talk to Juliana. Do it. And now we get our pink Sailor Moon transformation, which I like. Bam! Hey, willful, we needed that. Good. The priestess here is a friend of mine. I will come to your lessons in the faith and train you to use your powers. And look how happy we are. What is our... Oh, okay, something I think the wiki is lying to me because the wiki claims that Lumen is only affected by willful and yielding. And it says one yielding gets you -3. So either the bonuses don't count until you're down here, which we already know that isn't totally true, because we were being hurt by just a single afraid when we were trying to be royal demunery, or something else is pulling us. Because right now we have nothing one way or another on Lumen, but that's fine. I'm not going to complain. This is me not complaining. Let's put our coronet back on. Okay. Lore's maxed. Divination, meditation are 80, which I think that's the highest we'll need them. Presence and composure and elegance are all pretty good. Did I save? Let's save again. I can't remember if I saved or not. Your turn. And now we're going to start training. Training. Do we want wield magic or sense magic or resist magic? We want all of them, really. Let's start with sense. Okay. I'm gonna cough. Hold on. Wow, not only is it not being negatively affected by our yielding, it's also slightly increased by something. Because maybe it's an increased effect from the fact that we train the other faith so high. Who knows? Sense magic, 20. Oh, if only it had gotten to 25. That's okay. That's fine. Talorus, this is the guy that we're semi-engaged to. He has purple hair. How old is he? He's 26. So, you know, what is that? 11 years our senior, but nobody looks their age in games anyway. What a pleasure it is to meet you in person at last. He's being flattering. And we're too unskilled in flattery to know. I don't know how to deal with handsome older men paying me compliments. I was so pleased to hear that you had accepted my humble offering. A jewel for a jewel, but you are the more precious. I hope that this is only the beginning of a mutually beneficial relationship. A union between us would bring stability to both our peoples. He really does want to marry me. I was going to marry him anyway, just because I knew we were going to get engaged via the necklace, and why not? We married Banyan last time. So I'm okay. Let's marry him. I would be honored. And it made us willful, which we totally needed that, so that's fine with me. Dad's upset, but I didn't see you around when I was accepting necklaces, Dad. Your Grace, are you not aware that my daughter is only we're 14? I thought we were 15. Whatever. It's my decision. And he says, a betrothal only, of course. There's no need for hurry, and you have your coronation to plan for. If I might be in service in any way, send for me. I will be happy to offer my protection or advice. I don't think we'll have this problem, but when the minstrel guy invades, it is entirely possible, and I have this ending somewhere, it's entirely possible to flee to this guy's duchy and sort of have a court in exile and plan your return from there. So it's kind of a bitter sweet ending, or maybe just bitter. But this guy can be helpful. He can also be an enemy, just like everyone else in this game. So, but you know, it seems nice right now. And Dad is upset. Dad, I didn't see you being helpful. Let me see here. I'm a little worried about cheerful being so high, but I don't know that I want to fix it. I would be more comfortable if we were more willful. That would be visiting the treasury. What happens if we visit Juliana? Let's save. I already saved Anna 12. Save Anna 13. Return. I don't know what happens when we visit Juliana. There's something I don't understand. What is it? Magical powers are connected to Lumen crystals, right? But I can make myself glow by concentrating the right way, and I did that even before I got the crystal. You concentrate and your skin begins to glimmer. She says, you're right, it's not proper magic, it's something else. I sense no danger, ignore it, it's a distraction. So we're going to keep pushing. There are a million magical secrets I don't know, but I'm trying to learn. This one affects me personally. I need to know what's causing it. Very well. If I had to guess, I suspect it has something to do with your mother's powers. She was already a Lumen when she bore you, and some small trickle of that energy may have passed into you. So the daughter of an active Lumen might have strange powers. Charlotte! Oh, good. I was having this conversation. I wasn't sure when we could have it. What? She, just in time, you remembered you promised Charlotte you wouldn't tell anyone about her healing powers. Nothing. She is your cousin after all. Maybe it's just something that runs in the blood, but you think you'd better write to her and see if you can find out more. So I actually think it's sweet, maybe not prudent, but I think it's sweet that we kept her trust. We promised we wouldn't tell, and we didn't tell. Now, again, that may not have actually been prudent because we do have a country to run, but it is what it is. Classes. Ooh, I may have taught myself into a corner because sense is probably the thing we need to up the most. Let's do resist magic. $25. Good, good, good. That's what we need it to be. You're requested to stand in judgment. A woman has been convicted of attempted murder. This is the angry redheaded guy, which we already talked about how that's not that's kind of a stereotype that it would be nice to get away from. More than nice. He's also very violent. He is brought before you someone that has been accused of poisoning Kevin's sister. And we have absolutely no internal affairs knowledge at all. Before, I don't know if you remember, we had realized, okay, there was a lot of intrigues going on. This woman might have had a reason. We don't even have that right now. We know that we have somebody who confessed to a crime, a very serious crime, and we have no in-character knowledge of why she would have done this. So I'm going to go ahead and imprison her. I think before, if you remember, if we put her to work, that was seen as kind of more merciful, but really in character-wise, we don't really have any reason to be merciful. So attempted murder, go to prison. In character, I felt like that made sense. So you tried to murder a noble of my domain, and I have no reason to believe you wouldn't do it again, which is true. So you're going to be in prison. She breaks loose from her guards and rushes at you. In your court dress, you're unarmed. You grope for a weapon and find only a heavy golden ornament, which you hurl in her direction. We have absolutely no aiming skills, so the missile doesn't hit her. But the personal guards, God, this is so depressing. Personal guards step into action, cutting the woman down before she can endanger you. Her lifeless body lies bleeding on your carpet. And Elodie says, clean that up. Which I feel so bad about that. I'm laughing because it's horrible, and you laugh so you don't cry. But, yeah, that's sad. Mood. I think we want to bring our angry down. But we can't. We could be afraid. Hold on, let me see here. So, is there anything that gives us afraid? We can be afraid and lonely, or we can be afraid and depressed. Or we could keep going with willful. Save. Let's continue our willful. We'll visit the treasury. Check out our available funds. We have 9,996 gold lassie and 21 silver tea lassie. And we have a 48 modifier on Lumen. Our mood is up, up, up. We are going to go ahead and train wield magic, get those up to 25. Good. And now we can go back to sense magic. You hear a strange sound, look up to see an owl flying overhead. We have divination this time. I don't know if you remember, but last time we kept hitting all these divination failures, and I said if we had divination, we'd be able to tell the future, but we don't. She says an owl and deadlight. I can't speak. An owl in daylight and a dead leaf. Someone important will die in the next few months. There's somebody here for crowdfunding. It's the hospital woman, which we're not going to build because we have no herbs or battlefield medication. And Elodie says, putting sick people together, won't that make them die faster? Let's not do that. Which I think is kind of funny because it's sort of logical if you don't have any training in medication to think that sick people would die faster if they were kept in close proximity to each other. We're going to go ahead and visit the tomb because I want to get our afraid pulled down to be zeroed out. And that'll bring down our chill for a little, but I'm okay with that. So you pay your respect to your mother's tomb and wonder if the same fate is waiting you. Mood, here we are. Skills, good. Bringing down the afraid brought our Lumen up a little bit. So we want to get our sense magic up. Skills, classes, sense, go. And that should unlock a new outfit. Yes, it does. You will all get to see the Lumen outfit. I don't think we had that last time. Remember that the Festival of the Good Lady is approaching. There will be public celebrations, followed by a gala. Oh, I guess he did warn us about the gala. I remember last time I was like, thanks for not telling us about the gala, Dad. But I guess he did. I just didn't put together that meant in the castle, dancing, and trying to step on people's feet. As Queen, you'd be expected to lead the procession, possibly give a speech, but it's not required, and it might not be safe. Nobody has tried to kill us yet. And her Uncle Kevin has been acting strangely lately and shouting at shadows. That's not good. No one has tried to kill us yet, so I don't think it's unsafe for us to be out in the parade. But it's something to think about. We can't visit Juliana. That surprises me a little bit. Let's go up our willful some more. Yes. We still have the same amount of money as before. That's our willful phase. I like that phase. Rawr. Oh, good. Our Lumen is at a 2 modifier now, so doing pretty good. Our outfit, if you want to see the magical girl one, this is probably the one that's the most... yeah, I was already bragging on the outfits for not showing a lot of skin. This one obviously it shows her stomach, and it kind of comes up a little high. And it additionally, to me, looks... completely goddamn ridiculous. I mean, you've got little wings in your hair, for God's sakes. What is this? But you will notice that was the outfit from the main title screen. We're going to be upping our Lumen like high. So we're not going to keep this outfit on because I want it to continue boosting our presence. Because I think it's doing more good there. So, classes. Lumen. Let me see here. We're gonna sense magic. Just keep maxing that one out. Oh, so close. It's nearly 100. We may end up having to wear the outfit after all. Today is the procession and planting for the Festival of the Good Lady. If you have any concerns about your safety, stay home. We haven't tried to assassinate anybody. Or we haven't, tried to force Bran to get married. We didn't force Banyan to give up the territory. For the most part, we've been doing pretty good. Now, we have absolutely no skills in speechery, I don't believe. But we have some elegance and some presence, so we'll lead the parade. Cheerful, willful, pressured. I'm not afraid. I'm going to be the best parade leader ever. You walk slowly through the town with your attendants. It would not be appropriate for you to wear a sword, but you have a sturdy golden scepter that's taller than you are. We wouldn't know how to use it anyway. You help the priestesses plant a new tree. We failed some elegance and stuff, but I'm not too worried about that. The attendants join in song, and we go back to the castle. Oh, crap. Really? We are going to try to be assassinated? Why? We didn't make anyone upset. Did we make somebody upset? I don't feel like we did. The last thing you see here is cold blue eyes says, but love of Pete. Well, we just got killed. I'm annoyed. Elodie did not survive to reach her coronation. Nova would have to go on without her. I'm going to pause the video here because I've got a phone call incoming, so hold on. So hey, we are back. When we last left about 5 minutes ago my time and 30 seconds ago or 5 seconds ago your time, Elodie had been assassinated at the public parade, and I'm so pissed off about that. Not at the game, but at the fact that my guards are so useless that they couldn't protect me from an assassination attempt. So, you know, what am I paying you for? And then we had a telemarketer call, and so I took care of that. So I'm trying to figure out why we got killed, because we haven't done anything to make anyone angry unless it's getting engaged to the Duke of Sedna, which potentially, I guess, could upset somebody because he is a foreigner. The only other thing I can think is that Kevin may be upset because we didn't execute the woman that he brought to us as opposed to imprison her. Which, I mean, considering she ended up dead anyway, I would think is very uncharitable of him to try to assassinate us over that. So what we're going to do, because I'd just like to run this to ground, we could reload and not go to the... we could not go to the parade and avoid getting assassinated that way. But what I'm going to do is we're going to load the week where that trial took place and see if that was what got us killed. Because I can't think what else would have gotten us killed, because we didn't upset Banyan or Bryn. They're happy with us. And we haven't upset anyone else. So it's either, I think, it's either the trial with Kevin, or it's brain blank, being engaged to the Duke of Sedna, which we're not going to go back and change that. They can just get over it. But I would like to run this down, just find out. So we're back where we were before we started doing resist magic and wield magic. So classes: resist magic and wield magic. Easy enough. There we go. Resist magic. And we're just over 25, which is good. You're requested to stand in judgment. Woman has been convicted. This is Kevin. We've all been here. We're going to kind of zip through it quickly. I really hate executing her, but I really do want to find out if this is why we had an assassin come after her. So, as she is clearly guilty, her life is forfeit. She will be hanged in public. I can't remember. I think this increases your hidden cruelty. Oh, wow. Put it on display so everyone can see what happens to criminals. Yeah, okay. I think that increases your hidden cruelty counter, meter, whatever the word is. And there's a special ending for that, but I haven't gotten it. I've read about it. I think we went to the tomb to bring down our angry down one. And so, yeah, now we have, there we are. Skills. Lumen. We need to wield magic now. This all seems so familiar. You hear a strange sound, you see the owl, somebody important will die, you return to the castle. This is the hospital woman. We went to the treasury to up our willful, so that's what we're going to do there. Mood, yep, that looks familiar. Skills, now we're going to up our sense magic classes. Sense magic. Done. Remember that the festival is approaching. Might not be safe. Oh, Kevin is still acting strangely and shouting at the shadows, so maybe we will still get rushed at. I don't know. Maybe the game is trying to make him out to be opposed to us no matter what we do. Let's bring up our willful some more. And last time we did 2 sense magics and we ended up just shy of 100, which if we had a higher what's the word I'm looking for? If we had a higher modifier, then we would have. So I maybe won't do 2 sense magic. Let's do oh, but I needed it to be high for some other reason. Oh gosh, let me think. I don't know if this will affect the gala or not. Let me think. Mood, skills. If we do a sense magic, we'll get it up to... It was almost 100 when we did 2. So that means we got, what, nearly 50 points. So if we just do 1, then we'll get maybe up to 75. Will that be enough? Let's see. We'll do a sense and we'll do a wield. I hate math when I'm trying to... Yep, 75. That may be enough, or we may need to get it to 80. We'll see. Wield. So I say today is the procession. I will lead the parade. We still died. Well, the only thing I can think is that either getting engaged to the Duke of Sedna was what caused the problem, or Kevin is being set up as an enemy no matter what we do. That's annoying. Load game. Let's load to Anna 16. Yes. Well, I apologize for everything going up the river like that, but hopefully you won't mind too much. It'll just make the Let's Play more exciting. So this is a reload from when we had tried to imprison the woman and she got herself killed, which, I mean, dead's dead, but I liked... If I'm gonna get assassinated either way, I'd rather try to imprison her than try to execute her. So we're slightly less cruel in this run through. Skills. Okay, so here's our skills. We want to bring up, let's see, classes. We want to bring up sense. So we will, let's bring up a sense and a wield. Sense is 38 and wield is 43. Remember that the festival is approaching. Yes, I'm aware of that. It's a letter. This all seems so familiar. Let's go to the treasury, keep upping our willful. Skills, classes will train in sense, and that way we'll have plenty for the gala. 80, good. Today is the procession. Will you be leading the parade? I guess we won't. No, I'd rather stay here. That upped our yielding and our lonely, which sucks, but you hear someone moving around your room, you turn in surprise, but it's only a maid. My lady, should you not be in the procession? Oh, we passed a faith test. It's a major festival, but there are other ways to celebrate. Oh, wow, I've never gotten this one before. Confess your fears, yell at her, make religious excuse. Let's save the game. 18. We'll say, confess our fears. I can't go outside, there might be a sass. Oh, but that just gave us a... Well, what did the other one do? Load. Make a religious excuse. I prefer to give thanks for the good lady's blessings by meditating. That's very wise of you, my lady. Ah, and that didn't hurt our mood. So good. Good. Oh, willful's worked for us so well. Skills... We need another sense magic and we need another wield magic, so we'll do that. Done. Nothing more to learn about sense magic. Good. And we're good at wielding it. Wow, we went up 24 there. Are you ready for the Great Ball? Probably not, since we've done no training for it whatsoever. But we have trained for something else. All around the rich and powerful pause to gaze at you. Ooh, 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 we passed the presents. We didn't do that on the first one. So training early for the presents to get our magic skill works. You let your eyes rest upon each in turn as you have been taught, impressing upon them that you are not a child, but a queen. So that's good. Your father waits at the bottom of the stairs, offers his arm. We dance. It's fun to dance with your father, but the look in his eyes is so sad. Maybe we could get him a hobby. What does he do with all his time? After this, you must choose your own partner. There are never men who hope to catch your eye. But I'm already betrothed to the Duke of Sedna. That does not bar you from dancing. Dance with suitors or refuse. Hold on, we're going to save again. Wow, we're just really scumming the place up with save scumming, I know. Sorry. I think I want to dance, but not with one of the young men. So I'm not sure which option this is giving me. Okay, good. It lets me dance, but I can pick whoever I want. And so we're going to say, let's dance with somebody already married, because then it won't look like I'm snubbing my betrothed. It won't give anybody false expectations. I won't accidentally get betrothed to the Duke of Banyan. Or I guess his name is Banyan. He's the Duke of something or other. So let's say somebody already married. You don't want everyone assuming that whoever you pick first is your intended marriage partner. So what better way to prove that than by choosing someone who's already married? So you approach Erwin, Earl of Ishtar. He's old enough to be your grandfather, and his wife is right there with him. He seems startled by your approach at first, then thoughtful, and accepts your hand with a kindly smile. And I like this. I like the idea of Queen Elodie, the 14-year-old, dancing with Erwin. Yes, Erwin, the Earl of Ishtar. You're old enough to be your grandfather, in order to make it clear that she's not gonna do this whole, ooh, she's gonna marry him, she's gonna marry him, she's gonna marry him. Like, no, I'm not gonna marry anybody. Shut up. It's just a dance. I like this, and I think it's sweet. So that makes me happy. Dancing with a real partner feels quite different from dancing with your father, and we did no dance training, so we step on his feet. Sorry, Grandpa, who isn't our grandpa, but kind of our grandpa. We have no court manners or flattery, so the thing you missed was you didn't have a chance to chat with people. This is something else entirely. You notice that Fabian, the elderly Earl of Titan, is not looking entirely well. I haven't seen this one before because of the divination. Fabian is the father of and regent for Adair, the young lord of Elath. The boy is 12 years old and too young to assume his full title. Tragedy has been a common visitor to the Elath line. His mother died in childbirth, and her mother and sister died when Kaylee herself was a very young girl. I have no idea what we just failed here. Probably something about how one of them was actually murdered or something. If Fabian dies before Adair is of age, there will be succession crisis. Oh wow, I've never experienced this one. Let's talk to him, maybe, I guess. Let's save just to be sure. I don't want to accidentally start a war or something. Talk to him. We have no public speaking or court manners. Oh, wow. Lord Fabian, can we talk? You don't look so good, and I'm worried about what will happen to Adair if you die. You don't look so good. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm glad we saved before this one. He stares at you and you realize that you've spoken too bluntly for politeness. Okay, some of my family would claim that I have already lived forever and could continue to do so. But the mornings do grow colder. I hope to see Adair become a man, but I know that it may not happen. I know she's no blood of his, but I say, leave the boy with Aris and her brood and Lilla. Her youngest three are near enough to Adair's siblings, Adele especially. She dotes on him. My other children are too old. Adair's never known them, and his grandfather, well, he and I will never settle it, who should have known better, and it's too late now. Still, I would never trust him with Kaylee's son. Well, that actually is so sad. It kind of makes me happy because he does die. Well, that part doesn't make me happy, but what makes me happy was I was planning in this playthrough to leave him with Aris, and the game implies that the child is happier being left with Aris, but I didn't know for sure because he just writes you a letter, and I mean it could have been written under duress or something. So that actually makes me happy that we made the right decision, but that's sad that he's gonna die. I didn't know we could talk to him. Goodbye, Fabian. He pats your hand. Good little girl you are for thinking of me. What will come will come. I'm gonna cry. Okay. Okay. We'll get past this. Sorry. During a lull in the music, Banyan taps an elegant fingernail against among us. Now you will remember that last time, this was when he implied to everybody that we were sleeping together in order to try to force us into a marriage because he's a jerk. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Because that was how we were playing. This time around, he has no reason to be angry with us because we didn't force his sister into a marriage she didn't want, and we saved his property, and I'm already betrothed to somebody else, so let's see what happens. And he says, if I may have your attention. I believe we should offer our compliments to our lovely hostess. Her words of wisdom guide us through our difficulties. So he didn't say he was sleeping with us this time, so that's good. I'm not sure if that was the royal us or if it was us because there's many of us players in the audience, but either way. You take the opportunity to observe nobles that you rarely see. This is why we built up our sense magic. There's Gwinnell. I don't even know who that is. Adele, which I think was the person that the elderly guy just there was saying dotes on his heir. She's a fierce sportswoman who was the absolute terror of the ball fields. That's awesome. No Briony. Her parents are here dancing together. Strange that there's no sign of your cousins, especially after you'd specifically asked for Charlotte to come and see you. Your aunt and uncle are here. It would be scandalous if they hadn't come, with Merva being so close by. Sense magic! There's something itching at your senses. Your Aunt Lucille is a Lumen. We're gonna go talk to her about it. So she says, can I speak with you privately? Of course. I can sense you're a Lumen. What? I am too, and that's how I know. And she says, I do have a Lumen crystal. I found it years ago and called to me, but I don't know anything about magic. I can make the crystal appear and disappear, and I can block out sound with it. And I'm going to open a Dr. Pepper here, sorry. Oh. Tried to overflow. Thank you, Twitter, for teaching me how to keep that from happening. Oh my gosh, the phone is ringing again. I'm sorry, just a second. We're back. I'm so sorry about that. I would turn the ringer off, but I can't figure out how to do that on this phone, so... And nobody ever calls, but now I get a bunch of calls. What happened? Oh, she said, I can make the crystal appear and disappear, and I can block out sound with it, that's all. So she's saying that she's not a magic user, not really. She's just sort of... She has a crystal and she barely knows how to use it. Melody says, I don't think that's true because we have good sense magic. She says, there's traces of old magic around her, too faint to make sense of but strong. Well, why would you keep it hidden? It's not illegal to be a Lumen. And she says, okay, it's not illegal, but there's a huge stigma attached. I don't want that stigma. And I really think that's interesting. If you've been following some of the comments on the last video on Chris the Cynic actually posted like a whole post on some of the choices, particularly around Lumens in the game, and how there's all this prejudice around them, and it's actually very, very hard to remove that prejudice. I think it's very interesting to have somebody saying, I specifically didn't pursue this specific type of power because of the stigma attached to it, and because she didn't want to face that level of marginalization. And it's also interesting because if I'm right that Lucille is the person who tried to murder you, because then either she or Charlotte would be queen, if I understand the lineage correctly, and I think I do, that would indicate that she does want power, but she wants power, the type of power that isn't going to have her also be socially marginalized and an outcast. And I think that's interesting because a lot of times, you know, characters in movies or video games or books or whatever, you know, if they want power, it's six in one hand, half dozen the other. I want royal power, I want social power, I want magic power, everything, give it all. I'm greedy for power. And here is somebody parsing the difference between different kinds of power and the kinds of drawbacks that come with having a specific type of power, and I think that's got a lot of nuance there. I think that's interesting. So she says magic is dangerous and people wouldn't trust me anymore. They might think I was evil just because I have magic, and a matter of fact, that is how people treat your aunt, the blue-haired lady, Juliana. So she's not wrong. In fact, look at how much trouble the Duchess of Versailles has. Please don't tell anyone. And we say, okay, we can accuse her, we can keep her secret, or we can offer her a court position, which seems useful to have her around. We're going to do that. What I think I should tell everyone is that you are my new Lumen minister. What? Lumens have power. If you train with me, you'll become even stronger. I want that strength here to defend the capital. And I like that. I mean, we know because we've been through this before, but Elodie knows as well. There's a lot of potential for social unrest, for foreign interference. Lumens have magic. The nobles are lumens because magic can be used to defend the country. So she's saying, let's do that then. Let's defend the country. You'll have status and recognition, and no one will dare call you a witch. I mean, somebody needs to like break into like the Wicked song about when I meet the wizard, you know. But you'll be on my side. Nobody's gonna marginalize you if I won't let them, is what Elodie is saying. Now, whether that's actually true or not, especially when Elodie's getting assassinated every 5 minutes, but I think it's an interesting direction for the story. So Lucille says, okay. Which, again, I think fits with, she does want power. She just wants it on her own terms. So, hey, we have a new Lumen Prime Minister, or whatever. I'm going to save the game now. Where were we? Was this in a 20? Okay, 21. I could be doing whole new sheets of saves, but I'd prefer not to backtrack as far as that would mean, so... Okay. We have a lot of willful, some cheerful, and we don't want to dip into lonely, and we don't want afraid or angry to change. So let's... What is the opposite of willful? Yielding, cheerful. Ugh, I wish you could just do nothing. We could bring down cheerful, but I don't really want to bring down cheerful. Let's stay willful for another week. There's our willful face. Skills. So we've maxed out sense. We need to bring up resist and wield. We're going to have all this maxed out is the plan. So, classes. Let's say resist and... Ooh, resist and wield. Resist is up to 50, and wield is so close to 100. You wander downstairs to talk with your father. He has a companion. Siren, also known as Siren, Countess of Miranda and Callisto. So laying on the Greek a little thick there. She has 2 minor titles and no husband. How dare she make it move on her father? Does she have a bio? Oh, bio. Single. That's awesome. We will shame her with scorn. We have high presence. So she scurries out. there's not really an option to say, welcome in, my dad needs a nice new wife and you seem okay. Which, you know, a little disappointed at that because it kind of plays into the whole catty. I mean, your dad could legitimately be lonely and looking for somebody to help with that. In many different aspects of that concept. But you know, Elodie's 14. Her mom literally died like less than 20 weeks ago. So I can see being frustrated. This is the path that you have set us on. What do you mean? Your acts have made everyone think about preparations for the future. I don't really know what that's in reference to. It was before in reference to us making Bryn get married. It might be a reference to us being engaged to the Duke of Sedna. So anyway, etc. We all have to do things we don't want to do. You should be careful how you deal with people like Siren. You need the goodwill of your nobles. There haven't been any problems so far. We only just about near got assassinated, but... Oh, man. I wanted to get the option to ask for... what was that? Intrigue? Hold on. We're gonna save scum. Sorry, everybody. Sorry. Where were we? 21? Yes. Now that you've finished the weekend, mood, willful, I think. So instead of magic, let's do, So intrigue can be internal affairs or foreign intelligence. So let's do both. Will that get us enough to ask for... If you have a high enough skill... This is... Same as my screen. If you have a high enough skill, he will offer... Or you will point out that you have... well, no good then. We'll go back. If you have a high enough skill there, he will say you need to pay attention to what's going on around you, and she says that's what I have spies for. And he says, by the way, what do you want your spies to be doing? And you can have them look out for noble plots or commoner uprisings or foreign threats or assassins. I wanted to have them look for foreign threats because we're going eventually to have a navy come after us, and my goal was to get a heads up on that and build more ships. We don't get that, obviously, because I didn't have enough intrigue, and so we're just gonna have to bundle through. Hopefully it won't be a problem. An hour from now, we may look back on this moment with regret, but it is what it is. Now we have to figure out what to do for the weekend. Let's go ahead and play with our toys to bring down our willful a little bit. Willful and yielding is the one thing that church won't bring back down. So that's kind of a shame. We need to up our resist magic. So we'll say classes, resist, and that should get us very, very close to 100. Or possibly at 100. There it is, 100. And it's time for a new budget. We don't understand any of it. We'll just keep it the same. It's fine. We haven't been spending anything anyway. Gonna go ahead and attend court. That'll bring us kind of back down on willful, which does negatively affect some things. And it'll bring us up from lonely, it'll pressure us, and it'll bring us stress. So basically we'll go to court to kind of even our mood out a little bit. It's not fun, it pleases your father. It's probably time to save again, because obviously we've been stumbling around just a little bit. Return and skills, and we have to decide whether to go ahead and put on the Lumen outfit and call it a day, because that'll max out our wheeled magic, or to keep wearing the Royal Demeanor outfit, which gives us extra stuff. Let me think. What we're gonna do is, and I'm kind of guessing here, we're gonna go ahead and put our Lumen outfit, our ridiculous, so ridiculous Lumen outfit. We're going to go ahead and max out meditation, divination. Then our mystical will be as high as you can get it. So we'll say divination and, wait, what was it? Oh yeah, lore's right. So it's meditation, divination class, meditation, divination, go. 100 and 100. Yay! We have nothing more to learn. So now our purple stuff is completely maxed. Now, oh, remember this? There's a man who's been convicted of murdering his wife. He doesn't deny the act, but he requests a pardon. If you admit you kill your wife, why do you think I'm going to set you free? And he says, save me, your majesty, it wasn't fault. Demons made me do it. Now, if you remember, we didn't know what to do the first time around because Elodie didn't have enough training to say that he was full of crap. And so we said, well, I guess if you have demons, then I mean, so now we have sense magic. Everyone knows the power of magical beasties. They used me, they twisted my fingers into chain. My wife found me screaming to try to shake me. This is kind of triggery. I need the priestesses to bless me and make me clean again. Demons? This man is a Lumen. Where did he get a crystal? So we're going to question him about his crystal. It was a demon's magic that killed your wife, not your own magic? So you know what I am. He throws out his hands, and his fingertips elongate into floating strips of gold. Die! Golden chains slash at you like whips. With so much warning, of course, it was easy for you to resist. His attack bounces harmlessly off your shields, the chains flying back in the direction from which they came, where they find an easier target. Before your eyes, the renegade Lumen is choked to death by his own powers. After a moment, an orange crystal materializes next to his body. I like that expression. I guess I'll have to take that for safekeeping. So, yay! We stopped that guy. So, you know, that's good. Save game. 23. Your turn. I was hoping to speak to the Duchess of Ursul, but the Duchess of Ursul doesn't seem to be open for visiting right now. So we'll attend service. I was expecting to be able to talk to her. I have it in my notes and everything. I'm not sure about that. And I think I did the wrong thing. Let's back up. Here I am. So we needed to do something with our mood. Cheerful and angry. So it would help if we were depressed, but I don't think there's anything that gives us minus. There is stuff that brings down our angry and our cheerful, so we'll do depressed and afraid. Visited Mother's Tomb. So mood-wise, we're here. We needed to study voice, and it may potentially be too late for that. Let me think. Okay. Classes. Expression. Voice. We still need a little bit of voice. Well, a lot of voice, but not as much as we had before. So now we have 20 voice. My ladies, there's a letter for you. It appears to be a poem describing you in a manner that is entirely inappropriate for a queen. That's terrible. It made me angry. A breeze swirls out of the window. Do you get on the roof? Again, we have no climbing skills, so I can't remember whether we want to get it or not. Ignore it. Okay, that didn't affect our mood. We're angry and cheerful, and I want to be not angry and cheerful, so we're going to visit the tomb. Oh, wait. Did you see that? I'm so sorry. Y'all are going to have, like, crossed eyes from me. Juliana is available again. There it is! We want to talk to her. If you attack an enemy Lumen and you win, and they leave behind a crystal, is it possible to combine that crystal with mine to make it stronger? Each Lumen can hold only one crystal. The only way to combine their magic is if a living wielder chooses to join their power to another. So I should destroy other crystals to stop anyone from using them against me. That is the traditional policy, but it is a lie. Living crystals cannot be destroyed, so there's like a finite number. Rulers claim otherwise to discourage thieves from seeking dangerous treasures. So what am I supposed to do with the crystal? Guard it or hide it or give it into other hands to wield. But if the last holder of the crystal was an enemy, which this one was, the resonance of the crystal will work against you. It will be attuned to a personality as foolish or violent or scheming as the Lumen you defeated. So that's not helpful at all. So she says anyone taking the crystal will become a new enemy, and that's useless. A weak-willed candidate might be acceptable to the crystal and yet still controllable. You could then steer that Lumen away from the dangerous paths, making an ally and changing the crystal's resonance. But that's a dangerous endeavor and one that requires your complete attention and also seems like a lot of trouble. You know, here, person who doesn't totally hate me, here's an evil crystal for you to bond with. Maybe you can make the crystal better? I mean, that sounds like a huge can of morality worms to open. So she says, not really a project I can work on while I'm so busy for my coronation, which is true. And then she says, wait, in the past, all the dukes and duchesses of Nova were lumens. So that means all those crystals must be out there somewhere. So, you know, something to think about. Skills. Man, but now our voice is negatively affected. Well, it is what it is. Off we go with voice. We're taking a hit, I know. 35. Ouch. I regret to inform you that Fabian, the Earl of Titan and the Duke Regent of Aleph, that was the guy we talked to, has passed away. I expected that was coming. It falls to the crown to make decisions. Young Lord Adair requires a regent. His stepmother, Aris, which was the woman that Fabian said that that Adair liked so much, has petitioned that the boy be left in her care. This would leave her in personal control of two neighboring duchies, which is generally forbidden, which is almost the entire eastern border. Now, there is bad stuff to be known about her, and she's politically a huge threat. People already call her, like the other queen in addition to you. But I talked to the late regent at the gala about what he wanted for his son's future, and he said that Adair should stay with either his stepmother Reese or his stepsister Adele. Adele would be a less politically dangerous choice. He also said definitely to not give Adair to his grandfather. We never had this Adele option before. So I guess that's opened up because of the conversation. I was going to leave him with a Reese, but he said Adele dotes on him. Let's make his stepsister. Let's let him stay with his family, but instead of a Reese, give the regency to Adair's stepsister Adele. They've grown up together and she's old enough for the responsibility. She doesn't have a title of her own and is more likely to be loyal to Elast's interest. A clever compromise. We were clever. Awesome. But it made us more cheerful, which is bad for voice. But we can visit the tomb and be depressed. Okay, good. Voice is back to not being negative, and I think we needed 50s, so this will work out in the end. We kind of wasted that last class, but it's okay. It's fine. Ha! I think we'll make it. There's a woman here to see you. She is a musician and wishes crown patronage, which means money. If you accept me as a member of your court, I will immortalize you. Immortalize me in words. I wonder if she wrote that filthy poem. Oh no, we needed foreign intelligence to know that that minstrels are often... This game is so impossible. We needed foreign intelligence to know that minstrels are often spies. We did get the fact that voice-wise she's not very good. Oh no, but our intrigue was too low. So we just wasted all of our voice classes because we didn't have intrigue to back it up. Crap. I have to think now if we want to try to go back or not. This game is so impossible. Let me think. Bum bum bum. Let's just keep going. I feel frustrated because I know that I just wasted, what, 3 weeks worth of classes? But it's fine. We'll be fine. It's fine. Let's see. Afraid and lonely. That would bring us down to a closer even 0 level. I want to study military and some climbing for the upcoming naval battle. And for that it helps to be angry, and it helps to not be cheerful, and it helps to be willful or pressured. We're pressured right now, and we're chillful right now. And we're willful right now. This would make us afraid, and that hurts us. Does anything make us angry? Angry and willful. We'll go with angry and willful. They're obviously bad people, but seeing them so miserable still feels unfair. There must be a better way. Skills. So, we've got an upcoming naval battle, and so we need to get some naval strategy, maybe some regular strategy and logistics. We also need climbing, which is annoying because otherwise it's a totally useless skill. But, and I'm seriously concerned about those wasted weeks of classes because the game is so tight on time. But we have no bonus to athletics, but we do have a bonus to military. So let's go ahead and slam that out of the way. We will take we'll take 2 naval strategies. Willful bonus. So that's nice. You receive a letter from Adair. He seems to be thanking you for letting him stay with the family he knows. So that's good. Let's stay willful for the military bonus. Skills. Good classes. We'll say regular strategy, go. A falling star. It means that war is coming to Nova. At least it might. Not every sign in the stars is meant for me. Still, if there is a war about to happen, this forewarning gives you time to prepare. Hire more soldiers. Hey, our divination worked for us. You make a note to have a recruiter try to get more soldiers ready for the army. We'll stick with willful again. Classes, logistics. 30. We have a new outfit. What a beautiful day. Funnily enough, if you had sent Adair to, not funny, but just so you know, if you had sent Adair to his grandfather, I think it is, he would have gotten assassinated this week, or we would have found out this week that he had been assassinated. So it was a beautiful day for many reasons, one of them being that Adair didn't get killed. Athletics still doesn't get a bonus, but right now we're doing naval strategy, so that's fine anyway. Classes, go. Naval strategy for 50, naval strategy for 70. Letters for you. And there's a birthday party. And we're not going. So send our regrets. because that's a whole nother thing. Um, Let me see. What does give? I think athletics, it helps to be cheerful and pressured, but we are cheerful and pressured. Maybe it's the angriness that's hurting us? Let's go depressed and afraid. So, skills, classes. Let's keep doing strategy and naval well, let me think here. Yeah. Strategy and naval strategy. You may now tour the barracks. That sounds nice. All of my friends are at Quinnell's party and I don't get to go. I sent her a letter saying I couldn't come, but it was her mother who replied, I think she's insulted I didn't consider the event important enough to attend. Well, sorry. Let's see. We can bring down our cheerful, or we can go to the barracks for a -1 willful and a +1 pressured. Let's do that. Our willful's kind of high. You impressed by the discipline of the troops, but responsible for their lives. And we 10 battalions, 3 companies, 1 platoon. And that actually probably makes sense to Elodie, because she knows what those things are now. Classes. We need to go ahead and start getting some climbing. So athletics and climbing, and we'll get those. I know. Climbing. I noticed you were looking over the military records. I was checking how many soldiers we had. If you want to recruit more fighters, we could offer pardons to criminals. Okay, yeah, let's get some soldiers from... We know we have a war coming up. Let's do that. Criminals probably already know how to fight. And I like to think that we specifically got, like, non-violent prisoners who... Well, not non-violent, but prisoners who maybe shouldn't have been in prison. And so this is kind of like another... option for them, although I guess we are potentially sending them to get killed, so I guess that part's not very nice. Yeah. Climbing. 40 on climbing. The Duchess of Mead is here. She's Brianny's mother. Brianny has gone missing. This is a whole nother plot line that we have absolutely nothing to do with on this round. I keep meaning to do that one, but it's really hard. Lonely, cheerful, willful, lonely. Let's do lonely and cheerful. Kind of racing towards the final battle here, if you can't tell. Classes, running and swimming. Freak gust of wind. It's an omen of war and danger. There's nothing you can do about it. Great. Let's bring... Can we bring our afraid up? Willful and angry. Visit the dungeons. Classes, we'll keep doing... Yes, we'll keep doing swimming and running. Oh, we're over 25. Things have been so unsettled. We need a contest. We'll offer employment for the army. Let me see here. Cheerful and lonely. So now we have, let's look at some of our outfits. We've got the boarding school uniform. We've got the military uniform, which I think is awesome and badass. We've got the priestess robe, which is probably one of my favorites. We've got the coronet. We've got the exercise gear, which is, you know, it does show some skin, but it shows it in a kind of realistic way, I think. That is what you would probably play tennis in. And then you've got the utterly ridiculous Magical Girl one. And we have to stay in that one because we want our Lumen maxed out without actually having to bother to get that last little bit of wheeled magic. Classes, we're going to go back to climbing. I don't remember how much we need, so I'm just kind of going overkill on that. And hoping that it's enough. Week of the tournament. The people will be pleased if you participate. So we don't have hardly anything here. So let's just go music because we did train voice. So, oh, there you go. Voice wasn't a complete waste. We trained it. You aren't trained in any instrument that's appropriate, so you have to sing a cappella. You don't embarrass yourself, but the song won't be remembered as a highlight of the day either, so that's fine. You place flower garlands around the winner's necks. All of a sudden, a man approaches the winner platform. It's Kevin, the Earl of Io. In one hand, he carries an armored gauntlet, in the other, a sword. My family's blood is on your hands. Now, we haven't assassinated anybody. This isn't like last walkthrough where we assassinated, like, his grandmother or something. We haven't assassinated anybody at all. So we don't know what he's talking about. I just said that. We don't. What is he talking about? He casts the metal glove to the ground with a clatter and raises his sword, pointing it at you. I challenge you, Elodie, a life for a life. He's challenging us to a duel? This is so funny. I love this. Doesn't he know you could burn him to a crisp just by waving your hand? So our options are accept, which we have not trained in swordsmanship, so we wouldn't do well at that. Or refuse, which we already know that this guy, like, stabs people without thinking. So I don't really think that refusal is going to be accepted. Or we could kill him with magic. So we're going to do that because it cracks me up. Kill him with magic. Without a further word, you direct the full force of your magical wrath at the Earl of Io. There is a horrible scream. So awful. I'm sorry. And the smell of burning flesh. I decline. Like, that should not crack me up as much as it does, but it does. That he would just burst in and try to kill you and challenge you to a duel, and you would, like, fry him with your mind. I can kill you with my mind. And just say, I decline. I love that. Kevin's sword falls to the ground beside his gauntlet. He won't be needing either anymore. I'm sorry, it's so awful. The backstory to that is somebody had sent you poisoned chocolates, and you didn't eat them because you hadn't received them yet. And somehow in the chaos or merry chaos of the tournament, somebody he knew ate the chocolates and died, and so he decided to blame it on us, which we were the intended recipient and victim of those. So I mean, yeah, he was not. Yeah. Anyway, our willful is awfully high, and that's kind of okay. But we have to do something for the weekend, and I think we'll tour the barracks. Oh, hey, a recruitment drive. We have a whole nother battalion, so that's cool. Skills. I don't know how much climbing we need. This is annoying. I should have looked it up. It's my own fault. Let's... I have to think. I have to think. We've got an upcoming naval battle. We're going to need climbing because of the we climb up to the crow's nest to use magic. You wouldn't think you would need more than 70 to climb up to the crow's nest, but we'll take it anyway. The swimming would only be if we sank, which I don't intend to sink. Let's throw down some logistics. Climbing and logistics. You study how to determine when to jettison or destroy excess goods for speeds, and how to avoid overreacting or overreaching. Those both seem like good things to know for a naval battle. Your father says it's urgent. Ships have been sighted on the approach from Sanjia. Not trade ships, this is a war fleet. What? Within a week they will be in Novan waters, then we will fight to defend ourselves. Let's go ahead and recruit some soldiers. It's probably too short notice. What about Talas? Can we call on any troops from Sedna? Send a message, but even if he agrees, it will take time for the soldiers to mobilize. You'll need to draw up a naval strategy. You could choose to act as admiral and lead the fleet in person, but the danger you would face would be very great. Unless you think your personal skills will make the difference, we're going to direct the fleet. The risk is mine to take. You have your mother's heart. I also have my mother's crystal. There is one more thing, an invasion. This is the sort of disaster for which a Lumen's power may be worth the cost. You mean the Lumen's power that you didn't want me to learn and I had to waste freaking 70 presence points just to get in? That Lumen's power, Dad? Oof, don't get me started. Useless. If the fleet could be destroyed before they reach our waters, many lives would be saved. You think? Elodie says, I don't know any magic that could sink a whole fleet. I'll have to talk to my mentor. So she says, a fleet from Sanji is attacking us. Is it possible to sink them all with magic? And Juliana says, it is easy enough to attack one soldier, one ship as a demonstration. But to obliterate an entire fleet, you would need an immense amount of power spread over a large area, more than any one Lumen could control. If you tried to raise that much power yourself, you would die. Not could, would. So it's hopeless. Not necessarily. The most dangerous power of Imperial Nova was that of Lumens acting in concert. If the need is great and the will is true, one Lumen may choose to give command of her power to another. 3, perhaps 4 people working together might have the strength to destroy a fleet. You, me, and Aunt Lucille. Will that be enough? It might. Are you willing to take the risk? Such power has its price. This is frustrating me because somehow we missed the part where Elodie notices that the priestess Selene is also a Lumen user, and I'm not sure how we missed that. It seemed to be just a random pop-up for me, but nothing is random in this game. So I thought the reason we were training meditation so early was because of if you passed a meditation check early enough, you would say, oh hey, the priestess is a Lumen. And I guess we didn't pass it early enough. I'm a little frustrated about that. But we only really need 3 magic users, not 4. And we do have 3. We have Elodie and Juliana and Aunt Lucille, which we got at the gala ball. But I am, like I said, I am still frustrated because we should have had Selene here as well. And in a previous game, I did have Selene. So, but okay. Anyway, are you willing to take the risk? Such power has its price. Yes, I'm willing to take the risk. This is what I was born for. I say we do it. Then we will begin the preparations. So be it. I'm gonna Google this real quick because y'all deserve to know. How do we get Selene for the naval battle? Selene. That's really annoying to me because I swear I did have her in a previous I could have swore it was meditation that was the thing that gave us that knowledge of Selene's abilities. But I could be wrong. I'll double check, and because I'm not finding it on Google right away, I'll double check and let y'all know in the comments. Anyway, okay, yes, so be it. Too late now. Probably we should bring our freight up. That means a visit to the dungeons. Affected by willfulness, willful, angry. Okay, so skills. We're about to go into a naval battle. I'm assuming gritted teeth at this. I'm assuming our climbing is sufficient to get up to a crow's nest. So let's pull up strategy and logistics. Strategy, logistics, go. Strategy teaches us, we learned hierarchy and cavalry. Cavalry's not going to help us much. And logistics. Okay, naval battle. Danger in the high seas. You and your 2 fellow Lumens join hands to focus your power. Your magical training has paid off by allowing you to stage this attempt at a safe distance from the invading vessels of war. Far in the distance, you hear the roar of the ocean you have charmed as it buckles beneath the incoming ships, opening up a maw of void into which they tumble helplessly. Then, as they fall, the water rushes back in around them, washing over decks and pummeling hulls. Oh, so we didn't even need naval strategy or climbing. Well, if we hadn't done this, magic grouping, then we would have needed those things, I promise. Some of the Sanjians may survive, but their threat as an invasion has ended. So we don't even have to meet the, invader king that it challenges to a duel, and we sang in him. We don't have to meet him now because his whole fleet just sank. I mean, I don't know if he was one of the ones that sank, but he's not a threat anymore. Like, that is over. That ship has literally sailed. And I don't know that we have to wear a Lumen outfit anymore, but whatever. Let's go to court. That sounds nice. We'll attend court, and we'll tell everybody about our awesome victory. So, week 36, we just beat, the guy that was coming to invade our country. I think we can just sit back and relax for the rest of our... We're good. We're totally not good, but stick with me here. Okay, what do we have left? We have a bonus on athletics, but we don't actually need athletics. We have a bonus on military. We don't actually need military. We have a bonus on intrigue, which might be worth having. Our history's horrible, like -2, and our royal demeanor we would like to get up, but let me go ahead and put our royal demeanor outfit on, because then I'll at least feel better about it being so awful. Let's see if we can bring that down. I think it's the willful that's hurting us there. I should know, shouldn't I? Because we spent so much time worrying about it at the beginning. But yeah, pretty sure that it's the willful that's hurting us. So skills. Let's get internal affairs. Let's also save. Just because we haven't done that in a while. Saving. Return. Done. Kind of a little late for all this. Okay, Dad. The magical storms you summoned created giant waves which swept inland as well as out. Oops. Damage has been reported along the shoreline from Azoba down to northern Marie. The beaches are covered with the wrack and bodies of animals, and many fishers and cocklers are missing. And Elodie gets upset and says, "Are you blaming me?" And Jocelyn says, "Of course not. Many more lives would have been lost if the fleet had landed." But even if we're not going to blame Elodie, I mean, that is, I think, something serious to think and talk about, because, we've spent this whole game being like, gosh, it's so unfair that everybody hates Lumen so much. But, I mean, even when we used our magic to save the country, there was this magical blowback of tidal waves or mini tidal waves that have resulted in the death of a lot of innocent people. Which, I mean, like he says, many more lives would have been lost if the fleet had landed, but it wasn't without a cost, and it wasn't without, maybe to a certain extent, and a cost that we didn't plan or budget for. We didn't warn people, hey, everybody stay away from the coastline. For this is sort of an unexpected blowback. So, it's easy to see how magic is kind of a scary thing in this world. I mean, it doesn't seem fair for people to be prejudiced against them, but they really do kill people with their mind. I mean, we killed that Kevin guy with our mind. And now with our mind, we've also created tidal waves that we didn't expect or warn anybody for. If I was a regular person that didn't use magic, I think I'd be a little concerned about this too. And additionally, it's one of those, did we overkill? We had maybe enough soldiers and personal magic to not do what we did. I mean, would we have still won the battle? We don't know. Would we still have won the battle if we hadn't gone overboard and done the huge eat the ship's tidal wave? If we had just fought a proper battle, soldiers would have died, but maybe we would have won without commoners getting swept up in it. We don't know. So again, one of the things I really like about this game, as frustrating as it is sometimes when you don't have all the answers, is that you don't have all the answers. It's kind of like how you might actually play this out as a real person. You think, oh well, an army's coming. Let's take overkill. It's 3 people doing magic. Worst case scenario, the 3 of us die, but we have plenty of nobles to replace us. And then, oh my gosh, it's an overwhelming victory. None of our soldiers died, and we won the battle. But then there's this ripple effect of consequences we didn't foresee, and I think that's interesting, frustrating, but interesting. What worries me is that these reports are increasing even long after the events of the battle. So we're still having tidal waves, even though timeline-wise we shouldn't have tidal waves anymore. More than that, an observatory in Caloris has seen strange shapes in the sea to the west. Something worse than a simple storm may have been unleashed. Oops. Hey, remember when we studied, what was it, lore, and we got to 100, and it said that a scary thing about magic is that when there's a lot of magic users in one place, bad things happen? And that might come into play. Does that mean a sea monster? It might. We're afraid. We're cheerful. We're very willful. Let's go be yielding and depressed. And oh my gosh, what face is that? That's pressured. That's our eyes squinted tight and nose crinkled up. Face is what that is. Oh, but hey, our royal demeanor is we can increase that now. So let's do that. We're gonna get crowned soon-ish. So I'd kind of like our composure and elegance to not completely embarrass us. So we'll up that. In the Grand Hall, your father is waiting for you. Our fears have been realized. A Kraken has risen. A Kraken? An enormous tentacled sea monster which can dive and surface at will. It is fast, voracious, and apparently unkillable. Any ship that ventures into its range is at risk. Oops! This could destroy Nova's shipping. It could destroy a lot of things. What can we do? Do we just wait and hope it goes away? We just failed a trade test, so I'm thinking the answer is probably no. Selene, no. Quite unexpectedly, the priestess strides into the room. What are you doing here? She's a Lumen! Oh, thank you, Elodie. Now, we've been to church services how many times? Okay, no, it's fine. She's a Lumen! I came to bring the records of the circle so that you would know what you face. Now, I don't know if you remember, but it was either sense magic or lore or something. One of the things, the final lesson was that priestesses maintain secret knowledge that they won't share with anybody else. So that's what she's talking about. I came to bring you the records of the circle so that you would know what you face. Left alone, the beast will feed until the seas run red, and only then will it sleep. Which is seas running red. That's a lot of. It would cost hundreds of thousands of lives. Exclamation mark. There are only 2 ways to end its threat. Lumen's spell weaving can freeze a Kraken in its tracks, holding it motionless, but only for a short time. If the spell is renewed every month, giving the beast no time between castings to move freely, it should eventually sleep. How long would that take? Approximately 7 years. So she doesn't say, okay, it's every month. So for 7 years, 7 years, every month, Elodie would have to go out and recast this ritual without fail. So, like, if she comes down sick or if she gets killed, I mean, I guess potentially we have a few other Lumen. We've got Juliana, Countess of Ursula, or whatever, and we've got our aunt Lucille, I think is her name. So theoretically, I guess there's some people who could step up and sort of pinch hit for us. But if the ritual is missed, it's not gonna work. Now, I don't know if that resets the clock or if it means that the beast can't be contained at all, but either way, that's a huge risk. Every month for 7 years without fail, somebody has to go and do this ritual and do it properly, or this thing's going to kill hundreds of thousands of people. Hundreds of thousands. But if at any point the spell cast is too weak or is not renewed in time, it would break loose. And the treasury would be drained keeping up such a routine. Which, I mean, Dad, we could build a castle by the sea. But whatever. What is the other way? It is well known that eldritch beasts can be driven out by sacrifice. The life force of a lumen, or potential lumen, on the cusp of adulthood would be the ideal force. Choice. No, you will not take my daughter. You see, Elodie, this is why I told you to reject them. They are all witches. Even without her mother's crystal, she would still have been a potential lumen, which is true, although without our mother's crystal, we probably wouldn't have awakened the Kraken. Keeping her ignorant would not have kept her safe. A potential lumen because I'm my mother's daughter, which means Charlotte too. But I could never hurt my favorite cousin. Dad says, I will not allow this. And Selene says, the choice belongs to the queen. And Alice says, yeah, that's me. So the options here are, I'm just going to save while I talk. The options here are that you can sacrifice yourself, or you can try to seal it. If we had been building up our hidden cruelty potential, by, for instance, executing the woman who was brought to us for judgment, I'm not sure how else to build up cruelty. There are options. Then we could choose to sacrifice Charlotte, and I was actually gonna show that for the Let's Play, just so you could see it if you wanted to see it, and I completely forgot until midway through that cruelty is actually needed. I'm googling real quick off on the side. Actions and increased cruelty. If horses are greater than 50 and hunting is unlocked as a weekend activity, going hunting while angry will increase cruelty while decreasing anger. So I guess you'd have to keep building up angry in order to go hunting and increase cruelty. On week 4, you can punish the maid who runs into you, Alice, for clumsiness. Executions, such as the one available on week 10 and another one available on week 13. That would have been the woman that Kevin brought to you, which we tried to imprison. And the other one was the Lumen guy who claimed it was demons and it wasn't. Using Lumen skills to blow up people increases cruelty. We did do that. And on an adventure with spoilers, Brienne, it's possible to abandon her to her death, but we didn't take that side. So it looks like additional actions. Additional actions unlocked by high cruelty. There's this one is the main one. And it turns out, I didn't know this, if you make it to the duel with the minstrel guy, it's possible to side with the enemy, which would have been interesting. So anyway, we did blow somebody up. We didn't execute anyone. We kind of did to see if that would help us avoid our being God, I can't think of the word, assassinated. But then I reloaded and went back because I didn't want to be cruel. So I really have no one to blame but myself here. So we can either sacrifice ourselves or we can try to seal it. I'd kind of like to show both. So we'll go ahead and seal it first. I've actually seen that one. I haven't seen it sacrifice yourself. So we'll seal it and we'll go to the end of the game and then we'll come back and reload. What did I save this as? It doesn't really do any good, does it, to save? Oops. Try that again. Save game. Let's see. Sacrifice. Overwrite. That's how you spell sacrifice, right? We're not going to stress over it. We'll just try to seal it. We will have to do our best to seal the Kraken away, no matter how long it takes. After all, isn't that what our magic is for? To defend the world from darkness? I will teach you the necessary spells. You must arrange the transportation. Very well. So, you know, a couple of thoughts here. One is that I'm guessing this isn't going to make people feel more comfy about Lumens because we unleashed the Kraken. I mean, literally, Cthulhu is running around the ocean or swimming around the ocean, killing people, and it's our fault. And it's our fault because, rightly or wrongly, we decided to use our magic to literally devour an attacking fleet rather than risk the lives of our soldiers. I mean, we had good intentions, but we were kind of meddling with nature, and now we have Cthulhu. And rightly or wrongly, rather than sacrifice ourselves, which, you know, I mean, I would argue that may not be the right thing to do. If we die, I think it's Charlotte who becomes queen, and we don't know hardly anything about Charlotte. I think her mother tried to kill us. So, you know, there's no real proof that would be good for the kingdom. But regardless, Cthulhu is running around the ocean. It's our fault, and it's our fault because of magic. And we got there through entirely pure intentions, but I can completely understand how, from a commoner's point of view, this just proves that magic is not something that should be meddled with. How many people have died, and how many people are going to die if we screw up? And we literally, I mean, you know, Dad, this will drain the treasury. We've got to go build a castle by the ocean. We don't really have a reasonable choice otherwise. We've got to make sure that Elodie or Juliana are available when it's, you know, when it's time to cast a spell, and that, you know, a horse throwing his shoe or a wagon losing an axle, or, you know, whatever happens in Oregon Trails, that's not going to have us show up to the ceremony late. We've got to make sure we're there on time, and we've got to do this every month for 7 years. And if we don't, people will die. You know, this kind of sucks. But we're gonna go through with it. And I appreciate that Elodie is trying to be, you know, positive about this. This is what magic is for. Magic is for saving people's lives. Now, saving people's lives in scary, dangerous ways that can have horrible blowback. But she's trying. You know? I appreciate that she's trying to be cheerful about this. What are we going on? Oh, coronation. Oh, there's your uncle again. Hello, Charlotte. We didn't sacrifice you, but we thought about it. Only 2 weeks remain before your birthday celebration. Have you done enough to build a stable, Nova? Maybe. The first of your soon-to-be regular voyages is now set out with Selene on board. She appears to have some special affinity with seawater, which makes her the best choice to guide a vessel while it hunts for the elusive beast. After all, you have to find it before you enchant. Oh my gosh, does that mean we have to sail to it every time we do the... I forgot about that. And then it's traditional for the palace to provide entertainment. Oh, we've got money. We need to save money because we've got this huge beast thing to deal with. So, I don't know. Let's do a respectable feast. I'm sure we can afford to give everyone in the city some bread and sausage and a little bit of cake. Good. Let's go play with toys. This game has broken me. I just want to play with my toys. Elegance and presence. We'll build those. This is just for a coronation. I don't know. As you can see, we made choices that probably could have been done better. Like our voice lessons that didn't help. You really can't see the point of wasting time worrying about decorations when there's so much else to worry about. That makes sense. Others are more interested in the subject of your marriage. It can't take place until you are of age, and considering all the preparations, not for much longer than that, but it doesn't stop people from talking, which is kind of silly because I've already said I'm engaged to but whatever. Let's go play with toys again. Oh, wait. Ah, crap. There was a chance to talk to Juliana. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. What was she going to say? I kind of wish I had, though. Oh, and I hit done when I didn't mean to. Oh, well. That's fine. It's fine. Coronation time. and we get to have a flashback. You are 15 years old, a legal adult. You have worked and studied and suffered and prepared, and now the time has come. You kneel before the priestess. She calls upon the gods to deliver peace, wisdom, and prosperity to you, and through you to all of Nova. And also, this isn't mentioned, but it would be nice if we could get rid of Cthulhu. Elodie promises to uphold the law and not be a terrible queen. The head of each duchy approaches your throne and kneels to swear his or her service to you and your heirs. Long live the queen! Thank you, I will! So now we get our ending. The following year, Elodie and Talaris were married in a ceremony that threatened to rival her coronation for pomp and splendor. Once his daughter was secure on the throne, Jocelyn returned to his birthplace to focus on his duties as the Duke of Caloris. He was pursued by many women, but showed little interest in remarrying, directing them instead to his brother, the Duke of Mazomba. So he remained true to your mother's memory, for good or ill. I mean, I don't really think that remarrying is a bad, evil thing. So to me, I mean, you could even take that as kind of a sad thing that he never remarried, or it could be a happy thing. It's either way. For a reason, he chose not to, and that's okay. As Lumen minister, Lucille requisitioned the orange crystal that Elodie had taken from the dead criminal and offered it to her daughter. However, Charlotte was not able to activate the crystal's powers. The young queen pointed out that a crazed murderer, ableist, but okay, set that aside. Okay, just because someone murders his wife does not mean that they are crazy. Just because somebody is crazy does not mean they are dangerous. Matter of fact, if you do have a mental illness, you are more likely to be in danger from sane people than a danger to sane people, sane being people without mental illness. And just because a murderer claimed the demons made him do it does not mean that he had a mental illness, because he could just be an asshole who was hoping to get out of his trial, or he could have been confused about his magic powers. So set that aside. The young queen pointed out that a murderer would obviously have a very different resonance than her favorite cousin. Charlotte would have to wait to inherit her mother's magic. Okay. The queen, hey, there's the tentacles! The queen and her trusted Lumens sailed out every week to check on the condition, of the Kraken and reinforce the seals. It was inevitable that others would discover their secret and blame them for it. After all, the old Novan capital had been rendered uninhabitable by monstrous Lumen experiments. A tentacled beast from the deep was just more of the same. So we probably didn't do much there to help the state of Lumens. The Novan people were not the only ones to notice the increased naval traffic and the frequent absences of the young Lumen queen. Pirates from Orcus stepped up their raids in the area, hoping to take Elodie hostage and ransom her for a fortune. The queen was forced to engage in even larger naval escort to make her regular trips to the binding site, and the Novan economy struggled under the burden. So, again, magic has not brought us good things in this universe. Which doesn't mean that magic is bad in another universe, but in this particular universe, it seems to be kind of the dice are loaded against us. Elodie developed a deep interest in the hidden lore of Nova. Why had no one properly dealt with the problem of the old forest? That's like the Keithong and stuff. What happened to the Lumen crystals of the Novan nobles of the past? The answers she found would surprise her, particularly the artifact trove her father had been hiding from her all this time. Okay, so I didn't mention this, but one of the endings with the invading minstrel king who tries to duel you, if Elodie hasn't unlocked her magic powers, your dad will step up and your dad will step up and be like, "Oh yeah, over here, hi, I'm a Lumen," which just head desk, because here he's been like, "Oh, Lumens are horrible," you know, like, you're dead, useless. Okay, I mean, he does save your life, I think. I haven't gotten that ending, I just read about it, but still, I think that's what this was a reference to. Deciding that lost was no less dangerous than found, Elodie made it her goal to round up and catalog all of the magical weapons and dangers of Old Nova, which, considering that they're permanent, kind of makes sense. I mean, I don't know that you want just anyone finding those. Who knows where the murderer guy found his? You know, and thus Queen Elodie's legacy reached into the future. Blah. So okay, we're gonna pause this right here so I can go take a drink of Dr. Pepper and rest my voice for a second, and then we're gonna come back and see the sacrificial ending, which I think will be short. I haven't actually played it. Hold on. Hey, welcome back. Okay, once more into the breach. We said sacrifice, so we're going to say, instead of sealing it, let's sacrifice ourselves. I haven't seen this before, so this will be new to me too. This is my fault. It's my responsibility. And Dad says, no! And Elodie says, oh, this is so sad. I wouldn't have made a good queen anyway. At least like this I can defend my domain. So don't be sad for me. I'll be with Mom again soon. Oh my gosh, that's so sad. I don't think we should let her sacrifice herself like this. And Selene says, come with me. I will teach you what you need to know. It's almost a relief to know that now everything will end and you won't have to make decisions ever again. Oh, that's so sad. That feels a lot like depression. Like they're trying to say she's depressed. That makes me really sad. And that's our ending. So you don't even get... Oh, man. You don't even get to hear about how the ceremony went or anything. You just get the little chibi, lacy ending with the tentacles grabbing Elodie and her crown falling off and her little ghost with a halo flying away from her body crying. That is so sad. What, do we get an ending? Elodie did not survive to reach her coronation. Nova would have to go on without her. So that's what we got, actually. My brain is blank. That's what we got whenever we got assassinated that one time. So, that is the ending if Elodie decides to sacrifice herself. Wow. That was sad. And I think there's a lot to be said about that, because I can understand her feeling like that choice is the best choice to make. I mean, again, hundreds of thousands of people die, supposedly, if this Kraken isn't sealed properly. And we also know from the other ending that the economy just tanks, which means people die. I mean, when the economy is bad, people die. People die anyway, regularly. That's one fact of life, right? Is death and taxes. But when the economy is poor, more people die. And more people live really low quality of life. And we know that we have pirates. So, you know, in that case, other people are dying. Because the pirates will prey on, you know, okay, we didn't find Queen Elodie's ship, but we found a merchant ship, so, you know, kill them, steal their goods. So, I mean, regardless of, even if you seal the Kraken properly and never screw up, people still are dying because of its existence. People who maybe wouldn't have died if it didn't. So I can completely understand Elodie feeling like one person dying is maybe better for the greater good than all these other people dying, and especially when it's her choice. You know, it was her choice to break out the magic. But you know, at the same time, she was using magic to protect her kingdom. She was trying to save lives. It wasn't like, ha, wee, that's magic. You know, she was trying to save the lives of her soldiers and her people. And, you know, obviously I have a lot of feels about somebody who, at the end there, seemed to be dealing with depression, committing suicide in order to save others. You know, so I mean, whether you agree with her decision or not, and I'm not saying either way, I really respect that it's not made out to be an easy one. I think one criticism you could level against the game is that it's it's kind of stacked against you. There's not a lot of options for a third way out, you know. But to a certain extent, sometimes there isn't an option for that. And I think probably the game was trying to evoke that you know, sometimes a foreign army invades and they have better, stronger forces than you, or they seem to, and you don't know if you can win if you don't go all out, you know. And then Cthulhu shows up. So I mean, from a game perspective, I totally get why this is massively frustrating to a lot of people. But from like a storytelling perspective, I can also understand wanting to grapple with difficult choices without having always a happy, easy option. And the Kraken is definitely, that's, you know, we I wasn't kidding when I said that the first Let's Play was the happiest, bestest ending I'd seen. You know, this one is, either way, it's harsh. You know, either Elodie kills herself, which is terrible, or she dedicates the next 7 years to trying to get rid of this Kraken, and her country is potentially, well, it's probably permanently altered. The economy is altered. You know, these pirates. She has to build up her naval fleet, which means that even once the Kraken is gone, even if they take care of the pirates, you probably have a more militaristic society. More people have gone into the Navy. It's hard to just turn that off and say, okay, we don't need a Navy anymore, you know. So, I mean, her country is irrevocably altered by this Kraken appearing. So, you know, the first ending where we used our voice to fix everything was very idealistic. And I think probably the most idealistic of all the endings. I mean, what we saved the world, we invented the printing press, we invented hospitals, and we went on to have a thoroughly happy polyamorous relationship with the most beautiful people in the kingdom. The rest of the endings kind of aren't that sweet. There's a lot of bitterness and a lot of bittersweetness, and this is one of them, where, you know, we summoned Cthulhu, and that was amazing and awesome and interesting. But if you think about it, either way, both of these endings really sucked. And then, of course, if we had managed to sacrifice Charlotte, which I totally had meant to do that just so we could see it. I'm really sorry about the cruelty thing. I'd completely forgot about that. I may try to do a quick run through on my own and addendum that one. But anyway, all that to say, no matter how you slice it, this was a really, really sad ending. Either way. So, now you've seen Cthulhu. And you've also seen two of Elodie's death scenes. One Cthulhu death scene and one assassination death scene that I actually didn't plan for. So, hopefully I will see you next time. I do hope to put out at least one more of these, but obviously we'll see how life interferes, or if it interferes. And I will log off for now.